Watch a common city pigeon walk across a sunny sidewalk, and you will immediately notice something that looks almost like a glitch in reality. Their body moves forward at a steady, relaxed pace, but their head is doing something completely different. It thrusts forward, snaps back, thrusts forward, and snaps back, over and over again in a rhythmic, jerky motion. To the human eye, it looks like the bird is intentionally bobbing its head to a beat only it can hear, or perhaps just showing off a quirky little walking dance. Most folks never notice the true mechanics behind this motion. They just smile, toss a piece of bread, and assume the pigeon is just being a silly, clumsy bird. But here is the surprising part. That rhythmic bobbing motion is actually a brilliant optical illusion, and it hides one of the most fascinating visual adaptations in the entire animal kingdom. You might be wondering how a simple walking motion could possibly be an illusion. After all, you can see the head moving back and forth with your own two eyes, but what you're seeing is not what is actually happening in real time. The pigeon is not pulling its head backward. In fact, the bird is doing the exact opposite. It is thrusting its head forward, and then holding it completely frozen in midair while its body catches up. Once the body moves past the head shoots forward again, locking into a new position in space. The backward snap you think you see is just your brain being tricked by the relative motion of the bird's body passing the stationary head. It is a masterclass in biomechanics, and the reason why they do this is actually amazing. To understand why this happens, we have to look at how a pigeon sees the world. Unlike humans, who have forward-facing eyes that give us excellent depth perception, pigeons have eyes located on the far sides of their heads. This gives them a massive, almost panoramic field of view, which is perfect for spotting a hawk diving from the sky or a stray cat sneaking up from behind. But there is a catch. Because their eyes are on the sides, they do not process visual movement the same way we do. If a pigeon simply walked forward with a smooth, steady head motion, the entire world would appear to be rushing past them in a chaotic, blurry smear. Imagine trying to read a book while someone rapidly shakes it back and forth in front of your face. That is what the world would look like to a pigeon if it did not have a way to stabilize its vision. Hold on, because this gets interesting. To prevent the world from turning into a blurry mess, the pigeon uses a biological camera stabilizer. By thrusting its head forward and locking it in place relative to the environment, the pigeon gives its eyes a brief, crucial fraction of a second to process a completely still image. During that tiny pause, the bird's brain snaps a clear, sharp picture of its surroundings. It can instantly analyze the ground for seeds, check the shadows for predators, and map out its next step. Then, as the body catches up, the visual field shifts, and the head shoots forward again to grab the next stable image. It is essentially taking a rapid-fire sequence of high-definition photographs to navigate its environment safely. Scientists actually proved this incredible illusion using a very clever and slightly funny experiment. They placed pigeons on a tiny treadmill surrounded by a stationary visual environment. When the pigeon walked on the treadmill, its body was moving, but the scenery around it was not changing. And guess what happened? The pigeons completely stopped bobbing their heads. They just walked with their heads held perfectly still and smooth. Because the visual world was not shifting backward relative to their eyes, there was no need to stabilize the image. The moment the researchers turned off the lights or moved the scenery, the head bobbing instantly returned. This proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the head bob is entirely driven by vision, not by the physical mechanics of walking. But here is where things get really interesting. This visual stabilization trick is not just about walking down the street. It is the foundational secret to how pigeons survive in some of the most chaotic, dangerous environments on Earth. Think about a busy downtown intersection. Cars are zooming by, people are rushing past, shadows are shifting, and wind is blowing debris everywhere. For a tiny bird weighing less than a standard can of soup, this environment is a sensory nightmare. Yet the pigeon navigates it flawlessly. Its head bobbing allows it to filter out the chaotic background motion and focus entirely on the tiny, crucial details that mean the difference between life and death. A slight twitch of a cat's tail, the distant silhouette of a peregrine falcon, or a perfectly intact peanut dropped by a careless tourist. You might be wondering how a bird with such incredible visual and survival skills ended up being so misunderstood. For decades, people have unfairly labeled the rock pigeon as a flying rat or a nuisance. But if you look closely at their daily lives, you will quickly realize that these birds are actually urban geniuses. Their ability to stabilize their vision is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to their brain power. In fact, pigeons possess cognitive abilities that rival some primates. They can recognize themselves in a mirror, tell the difference between pictures of dogs and cats, and remember hundreds of unique human faces for years. Imagine walking through a park, and a pigeon remembers exactly who you are, and whether you are the kind of person who drops sunflower seeds or waves them away. They are constantly watching us, all while performing that rhythmic, jerky head-bobbing dance. Now let us take this incredible visual memory and apply it to one of the most legendary pigeon behaviors of all time. How do they find their way home? We have all heard stories of homing pigeons being taken hundreds, or even thousands, of miles away from their nest, only to fly straight back to their exact rooftop. But how do they do it? It turns out, their visual stabilization is just one piece of a massive, multi-layered navigation system. Pigeons do not just rely on landmarks. They have an internal biological compass that allows them to sense the Earth's magnetic field. They literally have microscopic magnetic particles in their beaks and inner ears that act like a built-in GPS, telling them exactly which way is north, even on a completely cloudy day when the sun is hidden. But wait, there is more to their navigation toolkit. Believe it or not, pigeons can also hear the landscape. They are highly sensitive to infrasound, which are extremely low-frequency sound waves that travel for hundreds of miles. These low rumbles are created by natural features like ocean waves crashing against a coastline or wind howling through mountain ranges. By listening to these deep, invisible sound waves, a pigeon can build an acoustic map of the world in its mind. It can literally hear the shape of the coastline or the rumble of a specific mountain range from miles away, using sound to guide its flight path back to its exact home loft. It is a level of sensory perception that we can barely even comprehend. With all this talk about survival and brainpower, you might be wondering about their family life. If you watch a busy city square, you will see adult pigeons everywhere, but you will almost never see a baby pigeon. What happens next surprises many birdwatchers when they finally uncover the truth. Pigeons are incredibly private parents, hiding their nests on narrow ledges and under bridges, but the real secret is what they feed their babies. Unlike most birds that bring back insects, both the male and female pigeon produce something called crop milk. This highly nutritious liquid secretion is packed with proteins and fats, allowing tiny chicks to grow into fully feathered birds in just a few weeks. Both parents take shifts incubating the eggs and feeding the young, creating a tight-knit family bond. Pigeons are famously monogamous, often mating for life and returning to the same partner year after year. Speaking of pairs, let us talk about how they win each other over. The male courtship display is a hilarious and endearing mix of puffed-up pride and clumsy dancing. He will puff out his iridescent neck feathers until he looks like he is wearing a shiny, purple and green scarf. He struts around the female, bowing deeply, spinning in rapid circles called pirouettes, and dragging his tail feathers on the ground while letting out low, rhythmic coos. It looks a bit goofy to us, but to a female pigeon, this energetic dance is the ultimate test of fitness, proving he is healthy and capable of raising a family. And when these families gather together, they create one of the most beautiful sights in the urban sky. While we often think of pigeons as ground-dwelling scavengers, they are actually masterful flyers. When a flock of pigeons takes to the air, they perform complex aerial maneuvers that are a joy to watch. They wheel and dive in perfect synchronization, their wings creating a distinct, whistling sound as they cut through the air. This whistling is not an accident. The shape of their primary flight feathers is specially adapted to create this noise, which acts as an auditory signal to the rest of the flock. When a predator attacks, the sudden, loud whistle of the flock taking off in panic instantly alerts every other pigeon in the area, even if they cannot see the danger. It is an early warning system built right into their wings. But here is the surprising part about their flight. Have you ever noticed how a flock of pigeons can suddenly change direction in midair, moving as a single, shimmering cloud without ever colliding? This incredible flocking behavior relies on the exact same visual processing skills we talked about earlier. Because they process visual information so rapidly, each pigeon can track the exact speed and trajectory of the 6 or 7 birds immediately surrounding it. They do not need a leader telling them where to go. They simply react to their neighbors in milliseconds, creating a fluid, wave-like motion that ripples through the entire flock. It is a stunning display of collective intelligence, where hundreds of individual birds act as one massive, living organism. But this incredible intelligence and navigational skill is not just a modern urban phenomenon. It has a deep, heroic history that completely shatters the idea that they are just simple city birds. During World War I, a pigeon named Sher Ami became a legendary hero. He was part of the Lost Battalion, a group of American soldiers trapped behind enemy lines with no food, water, or ammunition, and being accidentally shelled by their own artillery. The soldiers attached a desperate message to Sher Ami's leg, begging for the shelling to stop. As soon as Sher Ami was released, enemy soldiers spotted him and opened fire. Miraculously, the little bird kept flying. He was shot through the breast, blinded in one eye, and his leg was hanging by a single tendon. Yet he flew 25 miles through a storm of bullets and delivered the message in just 25 minutes. His actions directly saved the lives of 194 men. He was awarded the French Croix de Guerre for his bravery, proving that the heart of a pigeon is as fierce as any eagle. And that incredible homing instinct did not disappear after the wars. In fact, it evolved into a multi-million-dollar global sport. Pigeon racing is a massive industry, especially in countries like Belgium and China. These are not your average sidewalk scavengers. These are elite athletes. A champion racing pigeon can fly over 600 miles in a single day, navigating fierce headwinds, sudden storms, and predatory hawks, all to return to its specific home loft. Their dedication is so extraordinary that some of the most elite racing pigeons have sold at auction for over $1 million. It is a testament to their unbreakable bond with their home and their unmatched navigational genius. You might be wondering, if they are so amazing, clean, and heroic, why do we still call them flying rats? That is perhaps the biggest myth of all. The truth is, pigeons are actually obsessed with cleanliness. If you watch a pigeon closely, you will see it spending hours every single day meticulously preening its feathers. They have a special gland near their tail that produces a natural oil. They spread this oil over every single feather to waterproof themselves and keep their plumage in perfect, aerodynamic condition. They also love to bathe, frequently splashing in shallow puddles or bird baths to wash away dirt and parasites. Far from being dirty, the common pigeon is one of the most hygienic and well-groomed birds you will find in the city. It is pretty amazing, right? When you start to peel back the layers of the common pigeon, the bird you see every single day suddenly transforms into a creature of profound complexity and wonder. That silly little head-bobbing walk is just the entry point into a world of advanced optics, magnetic navigation, acoustic mapping, and deep family bonds. They are survivors, having lived alongside humans for thousands of years. In fact, long before they were dodging taxis in New York or London, pigeons were some of the most important allies humanity ever had. They carried messages across battlefields, saved countless lives during wartime, and helped connect the ancient world. They have earned their place in our cities, not as pests, but as resilient, intelligent neighbors. Nature has a funny way of hiding its most brilliant designs in the most ordinary places. We do not need to travel to remote jungles or deep oceans to witness incredible wildlife behaviors. Sometimes the most mind-blowing mysteries are happening right on the sidewalk outside our front doors, just waiting for us to slow down and pay attention. The common pigeon has mastered the art of living in our world, adapting to our concrete and glass, and turning our cities into their own personal playground. They are a testament to the resilience of nature and a gentle reminder that there is always something new to discover, if only we know how to look. Now I have a question for you, and I would love to read your answers in the comments below. The next time you see a pigeon walking, try to spot the exact moment its head locks into place while its body catches up. But beyond that, what is the most surprising or funny behavior you have ever noticed a pigeon doing in your own neighborhood? Have you ever seen them performing their spinning courtship dance, or noticed them doing something completely unexpected? Drop your stories down in the comments, and let us see who has the most observant eyes in their local park. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and keep watching the skies and the sidewalks. You never know what amazing secrets you might uncover next.